Oh, dang. We're back. Hello. Only a slight technical difficulties. I know you're shocked. It's just, I'm trying so hard.
I didn't even know what technical difficulty. It looks fine to me.
Okay, great. I had the disclaimer up, which, you know, too many disclaimers can never hurt, so it's okay. Thank you all so much for coming. We are excited to be here. I'm DC. I'm an MLM dropout. My last company I left was Young Living Essential Oils. So this transcript really does hit close to my heart, and it makes me enraged. And I'm excited to go over it with Kat. She is going to introduce herself. We're co-streaming to each other's channels. So if I'm new and you have never seen me before on Kat's channel, hello. This is not a technical glitch. I'm supposed to be here. And yeah, we're going to have a good time. We're going to be reading through transcripts, and we're going to be reading Gary Young's testimony today. We called an audible, and we are trying to just get you the meat that you want to eat. And if you're vegan, the water that you want to drink. I'm not sure. I'm so not politically correct. I'm sorry. I'm going to give the microphone over to Kat, and it'll be so she can introduce herself to my channel, and also any of the replay crew. If you don't know either of us, hello, welcome. We're happy you're here. And Kat, here's the microphone.
Yeah, there's cat hair, tons of cat hair on this microphone. Not surprising. My name is Kat. I'm a licensed registered dietitian nutritionist, and I was technically, I didn't know it at the time, but I was in Young Living. I tried to support one of my friends by buying some essential oils from her. And about a year later, her upline texted me asking if I wanted to make any more orders or do something with my account, being as I was a distributor. And so that caught me off guard. I did not know that I was actually assigned to be a distributor for Young Living. At the time, I was a distributor for another nutrition-related MLM company. And since then, though, I've become very anti-MLM and educating about it on my channel, talking about focusing mostly on the nutrition-related ones, supplement-related ones, and dispelling some of the myths and talking about some of the concerns that I see from there, whether it's supplements or diet programs or both.
Awesome. That's incredible. And we actually love that we have Kat in our corner, because there's a lot of MLMs running wild in these streets. And even today, even though this isn't Young Living related, Autumn Calabrese was sharing her son's medical information on an airplane on her stories and talking about all this food related stuff. And everyone in the chat was like, we need a registered dietitian to look over this. And I'm like, we know one. Yeah, we saved it for you. We had someone screen record it. So we're going to get her take on that. But it was just like, it was appropriate because I was like, I'm just about to talk with her and we're going to talk about Young Living, but I'm sure we can send her that later. But
I'll have to see if it's still up, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Someone recorded it because we were like, we have to save this for her. So, yep. Everyone. Hello, Lori. Hello, Mombi. Your Morning Guru, Miriam, Avery, Lynn. I'm sure I met Mermeow. Hello. We're excited you're here. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get into this because it's a whole mess.
Yes.
Here's what's going to happen.
Wait, before we go in.
Yes.
If you did not see the first part 1, we did that 2 days ago about there. And Mombi gave us or found that she got the resource. So I want to give a huge shout out to Mombi because we would not be doing this.
Yes, we literally would have so little information about this. Mombi is an incredible researcher. She's an incredible writer. She's an activist. She is someone who kind of flies under the radar because she is a trusted source for people who are trying to spill the tea and inform the consumer educate the public on what's actually going on. She got these transcripts, and she has so much information that never sees the light of day because she's always submitting it to the FTC. She's submitting it to other governing bodies. She's trying to get journalists to look at it. And so we always want to highlight and just say thank you to Mombi and live chat. If you can give her some kudos and a very warm welcome. We're so happy she's here and that she kind of trusted us with these transcripts. I know a lot of other anti-MLM creators have these transcripts as well. Excited to get the message out. If you are a new creator or if you are someone who doesn't have these, we're happy to give them to you as well. The whole point is to inform the consumer. It's not to gatekeep. And that's what I'm about here. I think Kat's about that too. I know Mombi's about spreading the word. I mean, the whole point is not you can only find Young Living stuff on my channel, but informing the consumer about Young Living. And the more people who talk about it, I think that is better protection for potential consumers and the general public. So that's what we do here. And we're glad to be here. We're glad to start. And yeah. Yep. And no technical difficulties, no whammies. All right. Today. So here's what we're going to do. I know that not everyone's a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. Kat's not a lawyer. And sometimes it's hard to keep track of who's talking, what side is going on. So what we've done is the witness today is Gary Young. So we're going to have this tab when he's talking. And then Mr. Toth is going to be asking him questions. This is direct examination. So Mr. Toth is on Gary Young's side. He is the lawyer for Young Living. And so it's a little hard to see, but if you forget what lawyer goes with who, that's why it's there, so that you don't have to be like, oh man, I'm frustrated. I can't keep track. I don't know what's going on. We have those there for y'all and for us. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I know more trained minds can keep these names all separated. I just am trying to make it as easy for the viewer as possible. And so if it is live chat before we continue, let us know if this is okay to see. If it's not, we can turn it and make it a little bit bigger, but
and as a recap, this is for Young Living, who is concerned about breaching, or distributors for Young Living distributors breaching their contracts for doTERRA.
Yep. And we are going to, at this time, skip the opening statements. We're going to make a video on it, but I think on a Saturday, everyone wants to hear about Gary Young. So we are skipping to that. But this whole trial is over. Young Living said some distributors and former C-suite people broke their contracts, and those people said, heck no, we didn't. And they're arguing about it. But in the process of this case, a ton of stuff comes out, and stuff that you're not going to believe. So we want to go in as much detail as possible, because I remember when I was in Young Living that I didn't believe all of the haters. I didn't believe the information that I'm like, that can't be true. But these documents have come straight from the courthouse. They're published. The whole point is to word for word write it down so that there's a record of it. And so I think it's valuable to go through the record and as complete as possible, so that if you are looking for information, if you're confused, you can find it here. And I know it takes a little bit longer, but I think it's valuable. And I'm glad that Kat is here. It's here for the journey.
It's a journey.
Buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride. All right. So, Kat, do you want to be Mr. Toth, or would you like to be Gary Young?
I'll be Mr. Toth.
Okay. So you're going to read all the questions. I'll read all of the answers, and I'm going to live chat. Just know that we know you're there. We're going to take breaks and go through the comments, but I'm going to try to switch between the witness and Mr. Toth. Not every time, but I will just keep Mr. Toth up there now. We all know we're talking about Gary Young. We all know it's going to be a shit show. So, okay. Let me put... Yes. So we're going to put this up here. Let me see if this was bigger. Nope, that's not bigger. All right. Okay.
All right. Do you want Gary Young having been fully, let's see.
Yeah, that's fine. So Gary Young having been fully duly sworn to tell the truth, was examined and testifies as followed. And then the court, that's the judge, said, "Thank you. If you'll take a seat."
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes.
Would you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
I'm Dawn Gary Young, the founder and chairman of the board of Young Living Essential Oils.
Just a note to add in, he's not a doctor. I know probably everybody here knows that already, but if anybody's watching the replay or kind of learning about Young Living, he's not a doctor.
Yeah, so if you see D. Gary Young, it's because his first name is Donald. It is not doctor. So just remember that. That's going to be important information later on.
Yep. All right, back to Mr. Toth. Mr. Young, are you married?
Yes.
What is your wife's name?
Mary.
What's her role with Young Living?
She is the CEO of Young Living.
Do you understand that we're here today in a lawsuit that Young Living has filed against the defendants that are seated in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
I'd like to spend a little time introducing Young Living Essential Oils to the jury, okay?
Okay.
First of all, what are essential oils?
Essential oils are a concentrated hydrophobic liquid that contains volatile aromatic compounds in it that are released through distillation. And I'm just going to pull the comments up because I'm sure mommy is about to be like, that's not right. I know part of it is correct, but I feel like Gary Young just embellishes the crap out of everything.
I mean, it is hydrophobic. It doesn't mix in water. So every time they put the oils in water,
it doesn't mix, which is a surprise when they make those bath bombs and like they put the essential oils in. And it's like, well, it's not going to mix with the water. So, okay.
Bath bombs, but even more so for me, in their water bottles.
Oh my God.
Oil in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yep.
Does not mix.
Yep. All right. Let's see where. Distillation, and these compounds have been found to contain many different properties, from calming, relaxing, stimulating, and the more common terms sometimes referred to as the blood of the plant. And the reason that common term is used frequently is simply because the oil in the plant carries the nutrients throughout the plant material from the sun, from the air, and from the minerals that it uptakes from the soil. So it's a transport mechanism as well, and a defense system for the plant as well.
The oils themselves, they come from plants. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So that is all Young Living sells are oils?
No,
is that all Young Living sells is oils?
No, that's not all.
What other types of products does Young Living sell?
Shampoos, food supplements.
Are those typically infused with different types of essential oils?
Yes, they are.
How does Young Living obtain its oils to be able to sell them?
Well, a big majority of them we grow on farms that we have, which, okay. I'm just going to read it, but it's just wild that he is saying this because that is not the case as we have found out from actual documents. But okay, a big majority of them we grow on our farms that we have. We have 15 farms that we own around the world. And then we have what we call partner farms, where I've traveled for 30 to 32 years and worked with people and developed and helped fund other growers that grow for us. So all of our growers that are outside of our privately owned farms grow to a standard that I have created over the years.
So Young Living actually owns some farms?
Yes.
And where are those farms located?
We have 2 in Idaho, 2 here in Utah, Ecuador, Oman, France, Croatia, Taiwan.
And where is Young Living's corporate headquarters located?
3125 West Executive Parkway in Lehigh.
And how many employees does Young Living have now?
Mr. Smith. Oh, sorry. Mr. Smith's objecting. Mr. Smith's for the other side, so we gotta put that up. Mr. Smith, where did you go? Okay. Oh, dang it. He's up here. Yes, he is. He's for the other side. Objection, relevance. And then the court.
There's an objection.
And I'm guessing Gary kept trying to talk. So the judge said, what's the relevancy? And then we've got Mr. Toth again.
It's just a description of Young Living. Obviously, Mr. Smith spent a significant amount of time talking about the size of the company, what it does. This is a simple background on what it does, Your Honor.
Overruled. And so then we're back to Mr. Toth.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Young. How many employees does Young Living have?
Worldwide, with farms and corporate offices, I think we're nearly 3,000.
And those those are the actual people who are getting paid, not distributors. So
Yes. There's millions of distributors, unfortunately.
let's switch our discussion a little bit. Thank you for that background. Tell me, describe for me what kind or what type of business model does Young Living use to bring the essential oils that it produces and that it buys, and how does it bring those to the market?
Well, we have two business models. One is the typical MLM, multi-level marketing company, which is very common throughout the world today and a very wonderful program in the respect of it gives people an opportunity to be independent to create a better than average income if they desire to do that, or just use the product for whatever if it's just for personal use. The other division we have is a retail division where we sell directly to hospitals. Sorry, directly to hospitals and hospice and clinics and health food stores like that as well.
Honestly, I didn't know about that other division.
Me neither.
For if anybody has a distributor they know who's saying that MLM or Young Living's not an MLM, this is a good screenshot to take because he says it himself.
Yes, just
Typical.
take a good screenshot of it. We will and Mombi has a lot of these stories too posted to her. She has a highlight, the most recent highlight of hers. She has a ton.
Hey, Linda.
Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome. We are trying to read back and forth, and so we are going to be checking in periodically with the comments. And I don't know. We're doing our best. We're doing our best. So I think it's working.
Yeah.
So putting my phone is already tired of Gary's lying shit. Oh man. And it's only 2 pages or 3 pages into his testimony, which is wild.
Okay. Yeah, direct examination. So you use the distributors in that last answer? You were talking about the network marketing company.
I lost my place. I apologize.
No, you're good. It's just yes.
Yes. Okay, I'm back. Yep. Yes.
So are distributors, are they employees of the company?
Very important.
I said, are they employees of the company?
Oh, employees. I'm sorry. No, they're independent.
So they're not employees of Young Living?
No.
Okay. How does a person become a distributor?
Well, today with the modern technology, they can just go online very simply and look up Young Living and look up the distributor application and do it electronic, sign up. And there's a small fee that they pay to become a member, as we refer to them as members. Industry refers to them more as distributors. And with that, then they get a kit with information and some product.
And after that happens, what does a distributor typically do? They hound people.
Yes. You're going to get a hey girl message for sure. Well, it really varies because distributors, as I said earlier, are independent people. We don't have any
objection, non-responsiveness to the question posed. Why don't you rephrase?
Perfect. Why don't you rephrase? And then Mr. Toth is back.
The question is, what does a distributor do? I believe, Your Honor, he was answering the question of the different things a distributor does.
All right. And so then the court said, go ahead and answer the question.
Go ahead, Ms. Bingham.
Perfect. A distributor is an independent person. They have the opportunity, if they join the MLM division, if they join the MLM division, they have an opportunity if they desire to build a business, or if they don't wish to do that and just purchase the product for their own use in their home, family, whatever, that's entirely their free agency to do that. And many choose to just use the product.
So then why don't they just order the product?
Good question.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good question. Mr. Toth said.
Yes. Back to Mr. Toth. One of the words the jury heard in the opening statements was the word downline. Is that a term you're familiar with?
Yes.
What is a downline at Young Living?
Well, a downline, I refer to it as an organization. A downline is, if I may use you, Justin, as an example. If you joined Young Living and you started using oils, the product, whatever, you really liked it and you shared it with your brother, your cousin, your aunt, uncle, the neighbor across the street, and they liked it, they wanted to have the same opportunities you had. And so then they would sign up. And that begins the development of what's referred to as a downline.
Or a pyramid.
Yes, or a pyramid. It is shaped similarly.
You know what? We can just take all of these quotes from Young himself and
yeah, post them. We're going to make we're shareable content for you all.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is Gary speaking.
Yep.
Yes.
This is Gary. This is Donald Gary Young himself. He's the first witness called in this trial, which is interesting. And the person in this direct examination is Mr. Toth, who is one of the Young Living lawyers. So the questions that he's asking are pro Young Living side. And so we're trying to switch between the tabs. So if you're not sure what's going on, we're going to have the lawyers up here, and the Donald Gary Young is hello, Karina. He's the one being questioned, and he's the only one going to be questioned in this video. So,
yep.
Yep.
All right, back to, and how then does, maybe you've touched on it here, but how exactly does a distributor build a downline? Is there one particular way to do it?
No, there's not. 30 years ago, when I was a distributor.
Objection! After the word no, non-responsiveness to the question posed. It's been answered.
So then the court says overruled, and then Mr. Smith.
Then I would object under compound. That wasn't the question.
Go ahead and ask him the question.
Back to Mr. Toth.
Yep.
What are the different ways a distributor can build a downline?
Many different ways. As I started to say when I was a distributor in Shackley, oh my gosh, Shackley. Okay. When I was a distributor in Shackley 35 years ago, we didn't have the technology that's available today. So it was word of mouth. It was phone calls. It was meeting people in the store, on the street. It was just personal contact. Now our members do it primarily through social media, and they still do a lot of contact. Some advertise. I used to advertise in a newspaper and advertise holding a meeting, and people would just show up because they were interested in the information. There's multiple ways of doing it.
And this was 2017.
Yep.
So back to Mr. Toth. How many distributors as of this month, can you give us an approximation of how many distributors Young Living has?
And then we got Mr. Smith.
Objection. Irrelevant.
And then the judge said overruled. And then it's me talking, Gary Young. Ugh. I haven't checked recently, but I believe the last time we talked about it, there's around 4 million on the books. 4 million. Holy crap. Sorry, that's not what it says. 4 million on the books.
That's a lot. Yep. Do all distributors earn money by selling Young Living's products?
No.
Well,
screenshot that part.
Yeah,
we're done.
That would be a good social media post.
Yeah, we're just gonna screenshot the heck out of this. Oh my gosh.
So much here.
Yes.
Well, how are distributors? Why is that?
Because some distributors or members, as we refer to them, choose give me a break. Okay, choose not to build a business. Maybe they're engaged in their own business and they're happy with it, but they just want to have, maybe it's a toothpaste, maybe it's the oils to diffuse in their home or whatever. They just use it for their personal application.
Like anytime I want to use a personal application of anything, I just join the company.
Yeah, just like Amway. I mean, that's literally Amway's model is like you can just buy everything from Amway, and it's okay.
Yeah. Where was it? Oh,
Line
so
24.
How then? Explain to us how are distributors compensated in Young Living's system? If you can just give us a general explanation for that.
Sure. Distributors that choose to build a business have the opportunity as they build a business and as their organization grows in size and number. That's one of the ways that it starts qualifying them for what's referred to as a commission check. And, of course, as they build, the more volume that develops within their organization and the more dollars that move through that organization, then it allows them to achieve different levels. At different levels, they have the opportunity to make more money.
Are there different ranks for distributors?
Yes.
What do these ranks signify?
The ranks, like for example, in Young Living, it starts at a star, goes to senior star, executive, all the way up to he says crown diamond levels, but the very top in Young Living is Royal Crown Diamond. If you didn't know, that's the very top one. Each rank designates the accomplishment and the hard work of the individual that has spent time contacting people, working with people, teaching people, and building that organization. As it grows, there's certain qualifications in volume and numbers that then designates that rank achievement.
I was just looking at the contacting people.
Yes.
That's what they've done. Yeah.
Yep.
Mr. Young, what are the most important things that a distributor brings to Young Living?
Their credit card. Oh, wait, it doesn't say that. Sorry. There are multiple things that I look back. I would say one of the greatest assets that distributors bring, and that's their personal talent and their contacts. Oh, wow. Okay. Their relationships with their family and their friends. How creepy is that? Can you?
Ooh, their relationships.
Do y'all hear that? I mean, if you're listening to this and you're pro Young Living, just listen to what the former founder of Young Living said. I mean, he's still the founder, but he's passed away. He said the most important thing. Yeah, they want you for your contacts. That's wild. That's wild. Hello, everyone. We are trying to read, and so we are taking breaks to see all the comments. The comments are going to be available after the fact. We're going to leave this video up, so you're going to be able to go through and read them. We're going to be able to go through and read them. We're trying to read and pop them up when we take breaks, but we appreciate y'all's support, and we love getting to have the live chat here. So
absolutely.
I'm on
that
line
would be
7,
another good one to screenshot and make into a post.
Yes. I think I'm on line 7. Is that correct? I lost my place.
Line 7.
Okay. Many distributors come and they're just a lot of our members, particularly our Are you effing kidding me? Okay. Particularly our stay-at-home moms that are looking for a little extra income. A lot of them are single moms. Young Living, are you serious? You're preying on moms? We know that, but that's what he said it, that's who they mainly have as their distributors. Single moms and
their contacts, their friends.
And yep. Wow. Oh, we should have named the ranks after trees, saplings to birch tree. The highest rank would be a sequoia. That would have made so much more sense, Sky.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's tons of oils that come from tree resin, so that would have made way more sense. That green. Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, we do not have warm fuzzy feelings towards Gary Young, that's for sure. Nope. So they can achieve and go the direction that they desire by their interest, but through that it's their ability to contact people and bring people and create relationships and association.
Why do those things matter in network marketing?
Say that again.
Why did those things matter to you just described? Why does that matter in network marketing?
Okay, we're going to have an objection. Hold on. Smith.
Objection. Expert opinion not disclosed.
Overruled. And then the witness is talking again. So the reason it matters is because not all. Gosh dang it, Smith. Okay.
Objection. Foundation.
Oops. Overruled. And then we're going to go back to Toth. Not all network marketing companies are structured the same. Each one has different aspects. But when I started Young Living 30 years ago, it was all about focused on people and helping people. So when distributors members come and they bring in family members, and I've seen it so many times that the member that signs up, perhaps the first time, may not be a salesperson, so to speak, but they bring in a family member or a friend that's really a dynamic salesperson and a dynamic leader. So relationships and relationship building is one of the most beautiful things in the industry because it brings people together that were total strangers before, and they become like family. I've heard it referred to just a few weeks ago in our group that I have a larger family now because of how they look at each other. Yay.
Yeah.
Delighted.
Businesses, if they call you family, that's code for
like you're in a cult.
overworking.
Yes. Your boundaries are probably getting crossed.
Boundaries.
You're probably like doing too much work for not a lot of pay. You're not being paid what you're worth. It's just
Guilted into doing the extra work.
Yep.
Yeah, no. All right. You describe the nature of relationships and family as being important to Young Living. It's something that Young Living looks for in a distributor. What then is the impact to Young Living when a distributor who brings those things to the table leaves Young Living?
Okay, I need to get my little tab. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Mr. Gaylord, objection, foundation. Overruled, said the judge. And then what happens is if you could imagine coming to a family reunion and you're a close-knit family and one of your family members say, I've decided to go live in Siberia. It's a shock that they're moving so far away. In Young Living, it kind of creates that because our people are close and it is shocking. And they ask themselves why. You were here for a number of years. You're the one that taught us about the product. You're the one that brought us, and now you're leaving. And it creates a real fracturing in the organization, even to the point that a lot of organizations, it paralyzes them. They stop. Their people stop working because it creates doubt, question in their mind, and some organizations never recover from it.
How long, you described that process, how long can that last?
Oops. Objection, lack of foundation, calls for expert opinion. And then the judge said, I'll allow, have you lay some more foundation.
Wait, before we continue on, for the page before, we're seeing that happen in Young Living right now. We're seeing a lot of people leave. Some of them leaving to different multi-level marketing companies, which is unfortunate. Some of them leaving MLM in general. But that's why Mombi has been so like talkative about this, going after different companies right now. Young Living is one of those. Is really important for anti-MLM activism because we're seeing these kind of fractures come up a lot right now. It's pretty exciting for anti-MLM activism.
Yeah. So Mommy said, but there's an earlier comment. So she said, I was doing a quick search. They are still claiming about 4 million worldwide. Well, it really started going downhill when Gary Young died. So if they got over 4 million before, then it's possible they've dropped back down. Yep. It's totally possible. Okay. So I think
the court, is that what it is?
The court, I think it's like, okay. So I'll allow, have you lay some more foundation, and then I think you probably repeated this. Sorry that for the line 4.
Line 4?
Sorry, line 4. My bad.
Oh.
You're good.
Line 4.
You're like, what? I just misspeak.
Mr. Young. I thought it was like a lemonade thing. Thing.
Yep.
Mr. Young, you've been involved in your position with Young Living is what?
The founder and chairman of the board.
Okay. How long have you been involved in network marketing?
I signed up as a distributor the first time in a network marketing company in 1975 or 76.
And that's another thing too. A lot of people leave MLM to start. It's funny because he's getting mad at these distributors who, the 4 defendants, they with doTERRA. But he essentially sounds like he did the same thing. I don't know.
Yep.
It's just interesting.
Yep.
And how long have you been the chairman of the board at Young Living?
Well, I was CEO first. I've been chairman of the board 2 years.
And how long were you the CEO?
Oh my goodness. Unofficially and officially from its conception.
And is that a decade, 2 decades?
3.
3 decades. Have you seen distributors come and go from Young Living during that time period?
They always do. Yes.
Have you been able to see, as the chairman and CEO, chairman of the board and CEO of the company, that impact that having long-term distributors come and go from the company during that time period?
Absolutely.
So what is the impact to Young Living when a long-term distributor leaves?
Well, it's a financial impact to the organization when someone leaves because whether they're at the top of the organization or in the middle of the organization, if they leave, it leaves a hole at the moment they depart. So the people above, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was you. I don't know why I started.
So the people above, the people below start, what's going on? What's happening? And as I watch, many of them just stop working because it creates doubt in their mind. If, God dang it, Smith, stop objecting. Objection! And then judge is like, there's an objection. Hold on. So I'm guessing Gary kept talking. And so then we're back to Smith. Objection, Your Honor, no foundation for the witness's testimony outside the disclosure under Rule 26. I asked my husband about Rule 26. It might be a local state rule in Utah. It's not across the board the same for all lawyers because there's different legal rules. So it's specific to, I think, Utah. But no foundation for the witness's testimony outside the disclosure under Rule 26 on the subject matter for this witness consistent with the topic we talked about earlier. And then my mouse, Mr. Toth.
That's fundamentally incorrect, Your Honor. We presented Dr. Young.
Yeah, homeboy said Dr. Young in front of the jury. So if you can imagine, and he's going to correct it on the next page, but he, as a lawyer, knows that Gary Young is not a doctor, right? Live chat. He's not a doctor, correct? Okay, we'll let him answer, but it's just wild. So then he corrects to Mr. Young. Sorry, continue.
Mr. Young was disclosed as a witness to talk about, among other things, Young Living Essential Oils as a business. And that is part of what he's describing, including the way network marketing works in that business. This is very basic testimony that as a CEO and chairman that he has.
I'll give you a little more latitude, but we do have expert witnesses identified to go into this territory, so wrap it up.
Thank you, Your Honor. So very briefly, how long can that impact that you've been describing last?
Objection. Lack of foundation. Court said overruled. And then Gary Young said that impact can last a lifetime, but certainly multiple years.
Mr. Toth back again. So does being a network marketing company impact Young Living's hiring decisions for employees it seeks?
Yes.
How?
Well, because Young Living particularly is a very family-oriented company from the very conception when I started Young Living. I never focused on money. I was teaching and serving people and helping. That's debatable. I'm sorry, that's not in the transcript. Okay. And so through that, I looked for employees that have the quality to interface with members in the field and create relationships with them because I find it very important.
Does Young Living ever ask its employees to align non-solicitation agreements?
Yes.
Sign.
You're good. Yes.
Yeah. So let me read that again because that'll be important. Does Young Living ever ask its employees to sign non-solicitation agreements?
Yes.
Why?
Mr. Smith said objection, irrelevant. Then the court said overruled. And Gary Young said simply because as they work in the company whether it's in the executive level or mid-management level, they have a lot of exposure to our distributors and their people beneath them. And it's really important for them and for me to know that if they choose to go work someplace else or take another opportunity, as many employees do, that they don't come back around and try to steal or solicit distributors out of that organization, which cripples the organization.
Yeah, I think that was done to manipulate the jury.
Absolutely. I was asking my husband about that. I'm like, as a lawyer, you know that he's not a doctor and you let that slip out. Give me a break. They did that on purpose, in my opinion.
So these comments are everything.
Let them come up. Let's take a quick break and look at the comments. Oh man. Yeah, and again, like what lawyer is going to make that mistake? That's a purposeful mistake. He's not a doctor. He wasn't a doctor when he decided to do surgery on people. And you're gonna read it later in this transcript, but he said he values people who are wanting to further their education. And I'm like, okay, if that was true, you should have gone to medical school. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you can't just pretend to be a doctor. I mean, kids pretend to be doctors when they're 10 or when they're 8, and it's like you can't do that as an adult. It's illegal. You can go to prison for it, and it's wild that he didn't go to prison for what he did in Washington and at his clinics outside of the United States, and it's just wild. It wasn't a mistake. It was not a mistake. Yep, Gary probably told him to push that narrative. Yes, the D on his name confuses so many people, and it's literally Donald. It's literally Donald Gary Young.
Why are Donalds like this?
I don't know. Donald's no. I didn't find out he wasn't a doctor until I left Young Living. Holy crap.
When you were in Young Living, did you kind of get that gist that he was a doctor or a health professional?
There was like some information going around, and I'm the type of person, I'm like, why you're calling him a doctor? I'm confused. So when I looked it up, it's like he's not a doctor, and his name's Donald. And so why is he presenting himself D. Gary Young? Okay, it's an abbreviation because your legal name's Donald, but it looks like doctor. It confuses the hell out of a lot of people. Yeah. Yep. Oh my God.
It's kind of funny because there's a, she's not in an MLM, but there was someone whose letters, her first name was something that started with R and then her last name like with a D. So RD. And she was like a nutrition coach. And so she was using like RD's nutrition coaching or something like that.
No.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate twisty. That's so twisty. That is so twisty.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, in her Karina's duck is named Donald. And yes, we love Karina's duck, and we have absolutely like we'd never compare him to freaking Gary. Jeez. No one told me he was, but they do imply it. They absolutely do imply it. They didn't tell me he wasn't either. It's a live omission. It really is. Oh my God. It is deceptive. Okay. Let me put the lawyer back up on the screen. Okay. Are we objecting?
What line?
Jeez, I don't even know what line we're on.
13? Yeah.
Okay, 13. Simply because as they work in the company, whether it's in the executive level or mid-management level, they have a lot of exposure to our distributors and their people beneath them. And it's really important for them and for me to know that if they choose to go work someplace else or take another opportunity, as many employees do, that they don't come back around and try to steal or solicit distributors out of the organization, which cripples the organization.
Which happens often.
Yes. Yep.
We see that there's so many examples. I mean, some people are doing that in Elamir right now, but how is that? I
was just saying yes. I was like, yes.
How is that important to Young Living?
I'm sorry?
How is that important to Young Living?
Mr. Smith, objection, vague, and the judge sustains that one.
Right. Describe for us. You've talked about the importance of protecting those relationships between employees, distributors, and employees in the company. That was your last answer. Why is it important to protect the relationships between the distributors and the company?
Well, simply because if someone leaves the organization for whatever reason, it creates quite a financial loss to the people in the organization, as well as to the company. And Smith says, objection, Your Honor, move to strike non-responsive, and its lack of foundation on the claim of financial loss, not an expert designated.
Your Honor, we've already laid the foundation that he's a CEO. He's someone who regularly would look at the financial statements of the company. He's the chairman of the board. He sees that type of information. We can talk about what the financial impact is and why it's important to protect those relationships with long-term distributors. This foundation has been laid and is simply drawing a conclusion to that. And he's trying to do that because they're going after the 4 defendants who were distributors from 2001 to 2008, 2002 to 2008, 2004 to 2007 or 8, and then 2004 to 2007.
Yep. Mr. Smith, objection, Your Honor, under Rule 26, not disclosed on a subject matter by Mr. Gary Young. Ooh, that's so sassy. He just reiterated like Mr. Gary Young under the concept that's required, not disclosed. No deposition taken on the subject on a new topic that's not been disclosed previously, which is expert opinion.
Again, Your Honor, it's not expert opinion. It's factual testimony. He's not opining.
Mhm.
He's not opining about what his opinion is generally in the network marketing industry. He's talking about his experience at Young Living and the relevance of those agreements and the injury to Young Living and why they enter into those agreements.
So the court or the judge said, let me see Rule 26 designation. And Mr. Smith said first paragraph. And so then the judge sustained this objection. So they can't ask this question anymore. So, and now Mr. Toth's coming back with
more.
No.
Your Honor, I'd ask the court to look in the disclosure. It specifically says Mr. Young is further expected to testify as to the harm to Young Living resulting from the actions set forth in the pleadings. That is specifically setting up a discussion.
Whoops. Okay.
Of what the impact of violation of a non-solicitation agreement and the impact of that to Young Living. That's the basis for that question and why that it was disclosed.
Okay, so the judge said, it's sustained. Let's move on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Honor. Or thank you, Your Honor. That
you're good. You're good. We're the essential oil aroma. Wait, there's more. Yes.
All right.
I'm writing it like that from now on, Mr. Okay.
Do you write the non-solicitation agreements for Young Living?
No, I don't.
Do you have any legal training?
No.
Do you understand, sir, that Young Living has brought suit against 4 of its former employees for a violation of their non-solicitation agreements?
Yes.
It's interesting because they said employees and before they distinguished between employees versus distributor.
Yeah, I think that when I was reading through this transcript, it cleared up a little bit. So there are some of the executives who are part of the who are the defendants were former distributors from New Skin, and so then they got hired at Young Living. So it's like some of them are employees who left. Yep, who jumped ship for doTERRA. Okay. Am I supposed to be answering yes? And then
yes. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about each of those former employees. Okay. Let's start with Mr. Sterling. Were you involved in hiring Mr. Sterling?
No.
Were you involved in any of the promotional decisions with Mr. Sterling?
Yes.
What in particular decision were you involved with?
I was responsible for the promotion to the Chief Operating Officer position.
Who was responsible for, if you know, who was responsible for hiring Mr. Sterling?
The general manager that was in charge at that time.
And did you think Mr. Sterling was going to be a good Chief Operating Officer?
When I read over his resume, I thought there was definitely potential. He had a background with New Skin, which told me he had interest, not only interest, but had exposure and training, perhaps in the industry. The fact that he was in school at the time to get his MBA, that's always an interest to me because I like seeing people that further their education. Gary Young, read the room, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, read the room. It's literally the pot calling the kettle black. It's literally the person in the glass house throwing stones. Him commenting on this. Yeah, because he didn't get any medical training. And then he did freaking surgery. And doing an MBA and raising a family, you know, that tells you something else about the person, that they're committed, they're dedicated. They've got, you know, detail, a sense for detail to go through that. And that is some of the attributes that I really appreciated in someone that would be in that position.
Did you have a chance to meet with Mr. Sterling in that application process? Did you have a chance to interview him and talk to him after that?
Yeah, I got to talk to him in the process.
Were there any particular qualities when you were meeting with him that stood out to you that would justify promoting him to that position?
Yeah, there were several things that, you know, I mean, when he walked into my office, I don't remember if I walked in. He came in my office first, or I went down the office with the general manager when we first talked the first time. But he had a very professional look and demeanor about him. When I talked to him, I could tell that he had an understanding of the industry, that he wasn't a newbie off the block that had to be trained. He shared with me his position at New Skin and and some of the things he did there. And I was impressed because we're always looking for talent that has knowledge in the industry.
Why did you think those qualities would be good for Young Living?
Well, I felt that he would have a better understanding of the operation of Young Living, even though we were structured a little different and had a little bit different focus, as many companies do. And I really felt that I could trust him.
Did Mr. Sterling sign an employee agreement with Young Living?
I'm sorry?
Did Mr. Sterling sign an employee agreement with Young Living?
Yes, he did.
Did it contain a non-solicitation provision?
Yes, it did.
Why was that important in his deposition?
Well, because of his position, he would be interfacing with our distributors, which he did a lot. Some seminars and meetings when we travel and conventions. Also, as a chief operating officer, he would deal with a lot of members' problems that would be brought up to him if they weren't resolved in a lower ranks. And so he had a lot of exposure, a lot of interfacing with our members.
So, okay, let's talk a little bit about Miss Wright, Miss Emily Wright. She is also here in the courtroom today, okay?
Uh-huh.
What was Mrs. Wright's role at Young Living?
I don't remember exactly when she was first hired, but eventually she became Mary's assistant, personal assistant, executive assistant. She helped coordinate things for me from time to time, but she worked closer with Mary because I was out of the office a lot training, doing research, developing the farms.
Did you think Miss Wright was good at her in that role at Young Living?
When she came to the company, she didn't have any experience in our industry, but at the time, that wasn't really crucial. It was more her ability as secretarial type skills. She was a fast learner, she was a quick study, she was a get it done type of person, and those are attributes that I really appreciated.
What other qualities did you see in her?
She really had the ability. I watched her when we would have our conventions and our seminars. She would interface with our members. She really had the ability to just become a friend with them. In the association she developed, particularly with our mid to upper rank distributors, she would become very close with them. She was very personable. They liked her. To talk to Emily was to like Emily. So those were talents and traits that I appreciated because we're a people business. Okay. All right, Gary. I just can't even believe this. All right. And I wanted my employees, particularly in the executive level, to be able to interface with my members.
And you thought those qualities would be good for Young Living?
I felt those qualities would be very good.
Did Miss Wright sign an employee agreement with Young Living?
Yes, she did.
And did it also contain a non-solicitation clause?
Yes, it did.
Why was that important for her position?
Well, for the same reasons I stated earlier, because of the relationship development and the interpersonal relationship that she created interfacing with our distributors. She knew them on a first name basis, knew their family, knew their children. Well, that's creepy. Okay, she had all of their information because of the association and her position as Mary's executive assistant.
So let's switch topics a little bit and let's talk a little bit about Mr. Harrison, Justin Harrison. Justin Harrison is also in the courtroom here today. What was Mr. Harrison's role at Young Living? I think he was there for some time.
Yeah, Mr. Harrison, he had, I don't remember now, but 3 or 4 different positions in the company. There were a couple of times when the upper management called me when I was in Ecuador building a farm and wanted to terminate Mr. Harrison. Woo, T. Okay. And I said no. I said, I think he's got potential because I really believed he did.
Wait, I was looking at comments. There were a couple times in which. Oh, okay.
No, you're good. Let's take a comment break because they're too good. I know people are being sassy in the comment section and I just want to read some of them. Let's see.
Right.
Oh, geez. Okay.
No, just.
Oh my God.
30 more minutes. He said he had to go at.
Yes, I might be able to reschedule it, but I think we can get to direct and then we can do cross-examination. But it's a lot of information to take in. But you're also seeing some of the shade that Gary Young's already throwing at some of these people that, oh, I was the savior. They wanted to fire him, but I stepped in, so I can't have any bad intentions towards this dude. And it's like, give me a break. Give me a break, buddy. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to go and reread all these comments.
No, employees.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh my God. Okay. What liner?
Oh, it was okay. What was the role he was in at near the end of his tenure at Young Living?
At that time, he was regional sales manager.
Was that for when the western side of the United States?
I don't remember which region it was, but he traveled a lot for the company.
Do you think Mr. Harrison was good in that role?
Yes and no.
Explain that to us.
Well, the thing that I saw with Mr. Harrison that I liked, and the reason I took him under my wing, I took him on trips with me to just talk to him and get to know him and tutor him because of his charismatic personality was kind of like Emily. You talk to Justin, oh, you talk to Justin was to know Justin. To know Justin, he was your friend immediately. And I love that about him. I love the way he made the distributors feel that he really cared. He became very personable with them. He would talk to them. He knew their kids. It was just a very solid relationship.
What other qualities did you see in Mr. Harrison?
You know, one time I referred to some of the employees as we were talking about Mr. Harrison's ability. I said he would make a fabulous car salesman because he can sell snow to an Eskimo. He just had that ability that people were drawn to him.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah,
I
I
know
mean,
it's
it's
good
just
for sales in general, but just ethics and like, and I know what
yeah,
he was trying to say, but
it's like yeah, exactly. It's like you can sell the grass on your front lawn to the person who owns the house. It's like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Ugh.
and also like, do you want that ability? Like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
strive to have that ability? Is that really
Yeah.
necessary? Is that something that is helpful for humanity? I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I think sales is important because there is a need to
Yeah.
communicate like actual good things to people who need to know about him, but you can run into big problems when you run into an unethical salesman. One, that charisma, their ability to close a sale is just it's really good. And if they don't have if they don't have a right and a wrong, or they don't even acknowledge that like this is wrong, it gets really ugly. And we kind of see that in Young Living.
And
Ugh.
specifically, like if you're talking about like the snow to an Eskimo, or
Yeah,
which I think that, yeah, that's not really a term used so much now, but
correct. Yep.
uh just selling these kind of things like to overly gullible people, like that's just not something that you want to
Yeah, it's
celebrate. I don't know.
yep, yep,
That's
yep.
another thing though. But
Yeah, I agree.
you thought those qualities were good for Young Living?
I felt they would be very good. Wow,
Surprise,
okay.
surprise. You
Yeah.
said earlier that you kind of have taken Mr. Harrison under your wing because of some of the qualities you saw. Was that universally shared? Was that a universally shared view?
Yes, because I like Justin. I liked his personality. I liked his attitude. I could see he could become an incredible leader in the company, but he needed some guidance, he needed some maturing. And so I took him. We had a project in Copper Canyon, Mexico, where we're building two schools for the Tarahumara Indians. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I took him with me. Wouldn't it be Tarahumara Native Americans?
Yeah.
Okay, apologies. I'm just reading the transcript, so if I offend people, very much my apologies. So, um, I'll just fix it. But Tarahumara
Or
Native
indigenous.
Americans, indigenous people. Um, I told him I took him with me. I took him into the jungle so I could spend time with him, teaching him and coaching him because I had that kind of confidence in what I saw.
Did Mr. Harrison sign an agreement with Young Living?
Yes, he did.
And did it contain a non-solicitation clause?
Yes.
Why was that important in his position?
Oh gosh, dang it. I'm sorry. Mr. Gaylord, objection, foundation, lay foundation on how he knows about the agreement. The judge said overruled, and then Gary Young starts talking. Well, simply because of the interaction, the interfacing, and the relationship development. Because there, I took his role as a sales trainer in the field. There's another part that's really critical that takes place, and that is the members develop a relationship of trust. Once that relationship of trust is developed, they don't question. Oh my
Wait,
god. Y'all listen to this. This is not us making up this shit. It's Gary Young saying the quiet parts out loud in a court of law. Oh my
another good
god.
post.
What? Holy
Once that
crap.
relationship of trust is developed, then they don't question.
Oh, really quickly, sorry. Karina, happy birthday. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Um,
I I hope you have like the best day ever. Okay.
yes.
Sorry. Sorry. And that was part of his responsibility in creating that and teaching, because our members didn't know, the majority of them didn't know how to market, and that was part of his role, was to teach them how to share and how to market. It was really critical because he had such interfacing with our members.
Let's talk a little bit about Miss Shepard, because she's also in the courtroom here today. What was Miss Shepard's role at Young Living?
Events director.
Did you think Miss Shepard was good in that role?
I did.
Why do you think she was good at that role?
Well, there was several reasons. I watched her in a couple of circumstances where she negotiated our conference prices, our convention prices with the vendors. She handled vendors very professional. I had complaints from vendors of her professionalism. Oh, compliments. Oh, sorry. I had compliments from vendors of her professionalism and her ability to negotiate. In fact, at one point, I believe it was the Washington, D.C. convention, when one of the vendors told me, boy, she's one of the toughest negotiators I've dealt with. And so I saw that. She was also very personable, very friendly. Her husband was. I took them packing in the mountains in Idaho because I saw them as friends, and they were just good people, and I enjoyed working with them.
He likes to take people to the jungle and to mountains.
Yeah.
And people who are very good at selling and
yeah.
hard negotiators.
Yep. I enjoyed being around her. She was fast. I wouldn't say Miss Shepard, I'd like you to negotiate on the Salt Palace for next year and then come back a month later and ask her if she had done it. I would give her a direction or whatever, and it was done. I didn't have to look over her shoulder.
Do you think those were good qualities for Young Living?
I felt they were very good qualities.
Did Miss Shepard sign an agreement with Young Living?
Yes, and Mr. Gaylord's about to object. Okay, Mr. Gaylord, objection, foundation. Oh, this is a mistake in the transcript. It says witness, but the judge said overruled because a witness cannot overrule shit in a courtroom. Okay, and then Mr. Toth is back up. Okay.
I mean, it could have happened. Did that agreement contain a non-solicitation clause?
Yes, it did.
Why was that important in her position?
Well, again, because as being an executive and in that level, particularly at our convention, she interfaced with a lot of our distributors. It wasn't just conventions that she organized. We did a lot of seminars, bi-weekly, weekly, monthly, in different areas throughout the States and Canada. She was responsible and her team for organizing those. She was responsible and her team for organizing those. She worked a lot with the leaders in our company.
We've talked about the contracts that Young Living had with the 4 defendants in this case.
Yes.
And did Young Living perform all of its obligations under those agreements with each of those 4 individuals?
Absolutely. What the heck? So that gets this is a mistake from the transcripting company. So Mr. Toth is supposed to say, Your Honor, no further questions.
All right. There was a lot of tea in there.
Yeah. Wow.
What are some of the things we learned?
We don't join a cult.
Right.
Don't join a cult. Do not join a cult. Interfaced. What the hell? Oh my gosh. What did he do to him in the jungle? We don't know. Oh my gosh. Okay, these comments are amazing. That was a very short direct examination, in my opinion. And there's still 100 pages left. So cross-examination from doTERRA's side, or the people who are representing those who were in doTERRA. Good. Yeah, that's gonna be good. We're gonna have to schedule the next live. Does it work? I for some reason, technical difficulties. I'm gonna do better about making sure I highlight the when someone restarts talking, because then it matches up with the deal. It's a process learning how to do this. Did that work for the live stream to have the tabs up when people were talking?
Also, I want to say that DC has done like 99% of the work here.
Well, I mean, it's just I not well, certainly
I
not well,
connected
because
my channel and I'm here.
yeah, we're streaming to Kat's channel. I'm so excited for it. Also, video number
Yours.
1 I think is up on your channel. Is it?
Yes, it is. It was
Perfect.
put up last night, late last
Sweet.
night. I got it up.
Sweet. Yeah. So, and again, we're trying to make this be a very detailed, in-depth look and conversation over the transcripts. I am obviously here for the long format content, but I think if you're a type of person who's searching or asking questions about what the hell's going on in Young Living, the transcripts in this trial really answer a lot. And if you're so closed off from even wanting to listen about stuff, don't take it from me. Listen to your former leader, Gary Young. Donald Gary Young, not Dr. Gary Young. And I just listen to what he said. He's the one that's talking about making sure that these employees of his have these huge, really strong connections with the distributors, so the distributors trust them so that they don't leave, which sounds like a cult.
Oh yeah.
Call your dad. You're in a cult.
You know, it's just like it's weird, and that was only really the 30 pages.
There's so many
40
good
pages.
nuggets in there.
Yeah, and so we're gonna rename this episode 2 cross direct examination of Gary Young. The next video is going to be episode 3 cross examination of Gary Young, and then we'll either, if Kat's free or if someone else, literally, damn it, Carl Gary Young. Yes. in Beachbody, we have been saying, damn it, Carl, because he just does all this stuff. And we really just need to say it for Gary Young, because what the hell? What the hell? So Elizabeth said, you might have already put this up, but it's uncovering some things I didn't even know. And it sucks that it is this way. Getting these answers is cathartic. And again, when you're so gaslit coming from a tight information controlled group and you're able to see things in their entirety and they're not clipped down or taken out of like context, even though we didn't do the opening statements, we are going to do those so that you can try to track and follow. It's a trust thing, because you came from a situation where you're told this is what it is, just accept it. And here's a whole trial where we're going to try to do our best to go in its entirety through these. And if you want to read them yourself, I think that, Mommy, are these going to be up on your website or? Oh, Dave, that's okay. It'll be recorded. You can watch it. You can watch it on the replay, but Dave in live chat is the best.
I mean, just where he was describing the structure and why distributors are important, the links between the people, and targeting single moms, or targeting stay-at-home moms and single moms, and
it came from
how
Gary
the relationship
himself.
they bring.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's really wild to think, because we get so much pushback from people who are pro MLM, which is fine. The conversation, the back and forth is important. We're not saying don't have strong feelings if you really like your multi-level marketing company. We're saying base your feelings off of information that can be tested, that comes from actual sources, that's not just made up. And so we're listening to Gary Young say that the most important thing that you can bring to a multi-level marketing business, that you could even bring to Young Living, is your relationships with other people, because they're going to have you use those relationships to sign them up in Young Living. And that's not us being like, that's our opinion. That's his opinion. That's the leader of Young Living, the founder of Young Living, saying that. And I don't know. Go ahead. Sorry, Kat.
The other part of whenever people leave, and he's talking about long-term distributors jumping ship, leaving, it's just funny because you see a lot of distributors saying how like this is a great time to join, or we're stronger than ever. And this is not just like Young Living, but other companies as well. But he has been in network marketing. He was in network marketing for a long time before he even created Young Living. Yep. And so to describe how much it harms the companies when long-term distributors leave in general. And we see them kind of just changing that narrative and saying how it's all great, join now kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I
Lies.
mean, it's hard if you're really committed to a multi-level marketing company and you've been trained that people with dissenting opinions are the enemy. For my 12 cents, I like having conversations with people. If you disagree with me, that's fine. As long as we can have a civil and respectful conversation, let's have one. When it comes into, I know sometimes we get a little spicy. It's hard not to with Gary Young. I get it. I was in Young Living. It's still hard. I freaking cried my eyes out on a live the other day when we were listening to freaking Jacob Young's podcast for Young Living. And it's like, I should not be the one being this upset over Young Living's history. Young Living should have more care about remembering what they've done to people, what Gary Young did to people, and the harm that he's caused. And then it's very painful to leave your friends and to lose those connections, and it's scary. And so if you have questions, let's chat, leave a comment. If you don't feel like you feel unsafe to leave a comment because you're still in a downline, send me a private DM. Send Kat a DM, send Aaron or JJ. There's a lot of people out there who have conversations in their DMs, or send me an email.
Yeah. Even not just leaving with and dealing with the sidelines and uplines and downlines, but also people who never wanted to join, having them kind of like recognizing maybe some of the arguments that they made when you invited them. They may have been true. They were true. And just kind of reaching back out to them. I don't mean, when I left, there were some people who I messaged and I was like, I should have listened to you, basically. Or, thank you. Also, a lot of like, thank you for not hearing me out. Thank you for not joining. Good on you.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, if all of this to say, it's important to have the truth come out, even though I'm a small channel. It's just like the truth can like live in our corner of the internet, and it's again looking at transcripts and showing you the actual documents. I think it's valuable. And again, if you want to see some of the spicier Spark Notes spoilers, go to Mombi's highlight on her Instagram page. She has some really juicy things. If you just can't wait, if you want to go to the last chapter of the book, the last page, go there. It's a great read. And go ahead if you want to read this comment, Kat.
Yeah, Amanda said, I feel like after every sentence said about Gary Young should have to repeat. Also, he literally drowned his own baby.
Yeah.
Should have put a content warning on that before. Because nothing, she continued on, because I feel like nothing else matters when put in that perspective. Absolutely. Like that's enough to say everything that I think is important about him.
Yeah. And he basically was an experiment, and it's even worse thinking about that. But knowing the trouble that he got in when he did that, he didn't care about that, because he continued to do that up until the mid 2000s. Like there were people who were employed at his clinic who did not have medical licenses. And so okay, I could understand if you make really big mistakes. People make mistakes, but to then continue to making mistakes after you're made aware of them, people
make mistakes, but what he did with that
was murder. Yeah,
and I don't even know how you can make that mistake. Like, it just
and again, you don't go to medical school. Yep, exactly. And it's heartbreaking. And so that was with his first wife. I think she left him over that when that happened. And then Mary Young is his second, I think it's his second wife. I don't know, but Mary Young was not the mom of that baby who drowned. I just wanted to make that clear. Not only that, but he tried to do it again to another woman. Yeah. So there's no remorse. There's no learning from the crap that you did. It's just continued behavior. And this is my opinion. So I said that at the beginning. This is our opinions.
I love this podcast.
Okay.
So good. It's infuriating though. Like if you want to get angry but also be entertained,
Yeah.
it's a great podcast.
Sounds like right up my alley. I love being enraged. Oh my gosh. Well, we're going to link Mombi's website in the description below. We're going to link her Instagram as well.
Oh, and for anybody listening, it was Behind the Bastards.
Behind the Bastards. Yes, let me put that right up. Behind the Bastards is the name of, is that the podcast or is that a radio show? Okay, perfect.
Podcast.
I will, if I can link it in my description, I'll link it there too. And we're going to do the cross-examination is going to be the next video. And hopefully the series is going to help somebody. It's at least entertaining for us to read the transcripts. And it's eye-opening to know exactly what Gary Young knew in the psychology about like how he wanted his C-suite of people connected to and he wanted his salespeople connected to the distributor so that they would stay because increased trust, like help them not leave. It's so twisty. It is so very twisty. Oh yeah, if you like the stream at the very end, I have a kind of feelings about liking stuff before you listen to it, but if you're at this point and you liked this live stream, we would love for you to like it. I'd love for you to go to Kat's channel. If you don't already follow and subscribe to her, she is a registered dietitian. She does a lot of content on her channel and on Instagram. She is hopefully maybe someone we will look at Beachbody stuff with in the future, or at least get her.
I mean, I'm down for that.
Because we're lost. We're just getting really confused by Autumn Calabrese and mad, confused and angry. So if you're in my live chat, I'd love for you to take that extra little step and go over and like her live stream and follow her. She's incredible. Yeah.
On mine.
Yes, I love a pity like. I would love a pity like that. That would be incredible. Also, we hit 4,000 watch hours yesterday, which was crazy, and we're so close to 500. We're at 496, so it's like, yay, hooray!
I don't have my thing to shake, but celebrate.
That's okay. Yay! I'll just be excited. And thank you guys for the support. I really appreciate it. I really do appreciate it, and it's always a blast hanging out with the live chat crew.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That took a lot of work on your end.
I didn't think I'd hit it for like a whole year. So the fact that we hit it already, it's like, yay, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
We have to put Kat for an Autumn Calabrese roast.
1,000% here for that.
So we're going to go ahead and roll the outro, which is unknown to me because I need to figure out an outro. I think I forgot to load it. But thank you so much, everyone. And we will catch you on the next live stream, and we'll let you know when that will be. So
thanks, Amanda.
All right. I'm going to find the right thing. Okay. Not too many technical difficulties today. It's been a surprise and a delight. So thank you, everyone. And we will see you next time. Okay. Bye.